So I was 13 when I started mixing with Ashley and Laura. I was not drinking. I don't drink now, I didn't drink then, I don't like alcohol. I just don't like alcohol. They were all drinking Lamborghini and they were drinking sort of WKD, but I wasn't drinking. I didn't drink anyway back then because I was too young. He didn't know how young I was for the very beginning. I lied a lot. I started going out clubbing very early, from like the age of 14. I started going clubbing at the age of 15. That with my first partner, we didn't have sex until I was legal. I had really bad daddy issues. I would go and meet my friends from their work and they kept saying to me, "You'll really fancy our boss." And I was like, let's call him Toby. And so I was 14 when someone first mentioned Ryan's name to me and they were like, "You're really gonna fancy him." I fancy Toby. But when I was 14, I was with someone for a very long time. I moved out with him when I was 17, 18. I moved in with him, he was older than me and he had a child. And I wanna share with you an incident that happened to me when I was 13, just before I was 14. So at this point, I was on a break from my first ever boyfriend, the boy that I was with for a long time. And he was the only boy I'd ever kissed. We were 13, like no one had had sex, but some of the girls, they'd all kissed someone. They'd all kissed a boy. And there's Imogen like, I'd never kissed anyone. He lies me back. And this boy had kissed a couple of girls. Like this boy was a little bit, do you know what I mean? Like, so I'm like, I opened my mouth, did nothing. I did nothing. That was I think that genuinely has to be the worst kiss anyone's ever given someone. I started working there. It was an illegal place anyway. Let's just not talk about it. It was on bloody, what's his name, Watchdog. Like, basically, my first job, set the scene, 3 weeks or a month before I was 16, I got that card. I got the job. Me and Laura, my best friend, got the job and I was absolutely buzzing. And it was a call centre. The product that we were selling was insurance for skyboxes. We're watching Watchdog and all of a sudden, my work comes on it. Because it was basically illegal. But apparently we were cold calling and calling people and getting data from someone else. I actually ended up going into bankruptcy and I still worked. Even though the company went into liquidation, they didn't pay me. It went into liquidation. I didn't know that this was illegal, that we're selling this. He could never come to mine because I can't have boys over, especially not a 20-year-old man with a child. I was sneaking Toby into my house. We would always just have sleepovers at my house. That was the night when we kind of did stuff. That was the night when we did stuff. We didn't have sex, but that was the night we did stuff. So at this point, I'm 15 and he's 20. Basically, this one night, this is where it all changed. I was going underage clubbing. Me and Laura used to fly on the streets at night. And at the time I was 15 and Alexa and her friends were 19, 20, 21. My best friend had actually set me up to be beaten up. About a week later, Twilight had just been released and I booked tickets for me and my best friend Laura to go see Twilight. "You're not coming here, you're not coming back to my house." Came to my house, my dad put her bits out in bin liners outside the house and that was it. I used to stalk them on Instagram. And after I threw Laura out, I did not hear from that girl for months. Maybe a good year. My ex-boyfriend, about 10 months after the whole Laura incident. So Laura was hysterically crying to my boyfriend at the time. And she was saying, "I am the worst friend." He was like, she wants nothing to do with you. I want nothing to do with you. Months went past and I never heard anything. About 6 months later to that incident, and I saw her in a club. About, I would say 2 weeks passed from that time. I got 17 missed calls and it's Laura. So she calls me, she's like, "Imogen, Imogen, Imogen." She's crying, crying, crying. And I'm trying to console her and she says, "I'm pregnant." And she's like, "I've got no one to speak to about it." And I was like, "Okay, well, let's see what you want to do. Like, I mean, this is me being, Imogen, I do worry about you sometimes, I really do." I went to see her, so I picked her up in a taxi and I took her back to her house. I found out a year into our relationship when me and my best friend fell out for good. And he said to me, "I'm so glad you're not friends with that girl anymore." I've been seeing this boy for like a year, whatever. He ghosted. He's got back with his ex-girlfriend. On Instagram, on Facebook, their relationship looked perfect. He mustn't have gone out for like a good near year because I didn't see him for 9 months. And then it came to my 17th birthday. Went out for my 17th birthday, absolutely loved my life. Hadn't seen Toby in a year. Because yes, I used to drink. I was a little party animal. I've wanted you this whole time, da 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 da. We walk home and he was like, "I'm gonna get you a kebab." Got me a kebab for my 17th birthday. And on my 18th birthday, he bought me a kebab. I think he used my cash. And he was like, "I'll pay for the taxi home," but he didn't. And he was like, "Will you be my girlfriend?" My dad ended up letting him stay around a couple of times. The other couple of nights a week I would sneak him in. He was like, I can't keep doing this, I can't keep living a lie, looking over my shoulder. This had been like 9 months of being a secret. Again, we want to kind of move in together. We really became a lot closer because we decided to put all the stuff in the past. We moved in and it seemed perfect. So his child started coming round. Little boy Jack was a little boy, and he would run back to his mum and he would tell his mum how much fun he's had. All of her friends were my friends. Did I tell you that one? I got accepted into a stage school in London, which over 1,000 people apply to get into, and only 40 people got on my degree. We've got a flat together, but I'm going to go to London and pay rent there. I'm going to have to drop out of uni. I did actually go to university, but I decided to stay in Brighton and commute every single day. I went to a performing arts college in London. I did my degree there in professional dance and musical theatre. When I first went, I was 18 and I was with my ex-boyfriend who lived in Brighton, and I was commuting every day because I couldn't afford to live in London. My attendance wasn't great. It was getting slowly too much for me. They gave me the option to defer. I would then join the next year group below me in January. That year went past and the year of the relationship was just as stressful. I'd give up my career of dancing, singing and acting that I'd wanted to do since I was a baby for a boy. They were like, we'll give you 2 days. In those 2 days, ladies and gentlemen, he broke up with me. Said to me, go to your dad's because I'll pick you up from your dad's. And he was like, I'm not coming home ever. These are the 2 things he said to me. He was like, please don't move on and please don't go get with a footballer because I love football so much I wouldn't want to go and watch football anymore. And I was like, ha, noted. When me and my first boyfriend broke up, I want to tell you that I was low. I was a mess. I was going out every night. I was getting drunk all the time. I was going out clubbing. I was looking for a boyfriend. I was crying about him. I'd eat so much food and then I'd starve myself because I was like, I just want him. And that's why being single for 5 years was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I was in such a good place. And this is when I used to drink. I got drunk, saw him out, and it was just horrendous. Then 6 months later comes running back to me. I'm already in a relationship. The boy I actually ended up going with in my next relationship, I was with him for a long time and moved in with him and thought I loved him but didn't. He saw the photographer walk past us in a club and he went, excuse me mate, come here. You wanted a photo with me. And I was like, what do you want? And he was like, a photo of us, best friends. I was like, best friends? And we'd taken the photo and I said to him, please just take me back. And he was like, no, I just can't, I can't. And I remember I left that club. I said, please just come and speak to me. Please just come and speak to me. And he wouldn't speak to me. And I remember I left that club and I went and sat on the beach. Like, how dangerous. I went and sat on the beach at 2 o'clock in the morning when I was a young girl. I was, 19, sitting on a beach crying. And I remember I was throwing up so much because I drank too much. And I called him 198 times. I called him 198 times and I'm not even ashamed of it. Like, I called him 198 times. My phone died and I called my mum and dad and I was like, Mum, Dad, I'm so sad. I don't want to do this anymore. My phone died. My parents were really worried about me because they were on the phone to me while I was crying, saying all these things and I was throwing up. They got the police to come look for me and the police came and found me. I'll never forget this. The police took me back in a van. There was 2 policemen and they were like, your parents have, you know, raised an alert that you were missing. They couldn't get hold of you because my phone had died. And can you understand, I'm saying all these things to them, so obviously they're worried. When I was in the police van, I was throwing up. And I was like, please, can you just cuddle me? Can you just cuddle me? My boyfriend's left me and I love him so much. A photographer was walking past at the club and he was like, getting a photo with me. And I was like, as boyfriend and girlfriend? And he was like, no, as friends, as best friend. I don't want to be your best friend. I want to be your best friend, but I also want to be a girlfriend. So then I had to leave the club and I went home and I walked home. I walked along Brighton seafront all the way home, which is like a half-an-hour walk, just because I was just so messed up. And I look back now and think that was so bad of me. Like, anything